welcome back to the Film Reel Cast. It's episode 8. We're back at the barn. We're back in Farmington. Yes, it's The Shield. Episode 8 called Cupid and Psycho. Let's get a quick recap of the last episode. Remember, Julian spotted Vic and Shane with Lem taking those drugs. He went to IAD. He told Acevedo. Acevedo's so intent on taking down Vic that he's using this as a chance to get Vic. And his political chance. Remember, he wants to run for council and he leaked this story to the press. Unbeknown to Gilroy, he's given the file to the press just to highlight just how much they need him, how corrupt the police is, and how much he wants to change it. It's all about angles. It's all about backstabbing. Remember that. Never trust anyone in The Shield. So before we get into episode 8 of The Shield, just a reminder, it will contain plot spoilers. We'll be talking about every single thing that's happened now and everything that's happened in the past, just to recap. So if you haven't seen these, stop watching now, then come back and then just join in the conversation. But click on subscribe, click on like. Obviously I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, the Film Reel Cast. It'd be great to follow, it'd be great to chat. I've had some really good chats, some really nice people from all over the place. The joy of social media. So click on subscribe. Okay, on with episode 8 of The Shield. So due to the headlines of the corrupt cops, Gilroy's had no choice but to put Vic working with Wims, and poor old Dutch, he's got stuck with Shane. And they're off dealing with normal crimes. There is no strike team. Again, there is no Ronnie. Again, there is no Lem. But we'll be on a journey with what Wims has to deal with and what Dutch has to deal with. Both completely different things. So following a car chase through Farmington, involving loads of different cars, Danny and Julian come across this burnt body in the back of one of the cars. This guy's called Eric. They think Eric's dead, then suddenly he opens his eyes and he's got 60% burns, first or third degree burns all over his body. He's going to die, and it turns out that he set himself on fire by accident in a meth lab cooking crystal meth. And Vic and Wims go to the hospital and they find out that they've had quite a few people in because of illness due to crystal meth, and the bodies are stacking up due to this crystal meth as well. And all of the bodies they found have had this clear plastic bag with this pink Cupid stamp stuck on it, so they're all taking the same meth and they're all dying. So Julian's still having a battle of conscience. He won't come out of the closet to admit that he's homosexual. Remember, he's been caught by Vic, and Vic, in his own subtle way, as he does, he says to him, last time I saw you, you had someone else's dick in your mouth. He's very blunt about it. He says, I'm going to have to write this up on a crime report. I have to be honest. For once, he's being very, very dark about it. I have to say what I saw. And Julian says, that didn't happen. That isn't me. Much to Thomas's disgust, because Thomas wants him to come clean and come out of the closet and admit that he's homosexual. Even Julian doesn't admit that. He continues to deny it. And he says, right, I'll give this crime report in and everyone will know what I saw. Everyone will know that you're gay. Remember, as we've spoken about previously, the barn, I mean, it's 2002. Attitudes were different then. Thankfully, they're different now. But attitudes were then that it's a very male-dominated environment. And if you're homosexual, people will see it as a weakness. As I say, thankfully, it's changed now. But Julian can't have this against him. But he still says, I'm going to do the right thing. Remember, he's quite a religious person. And he goes to see Acevedo and he tells Acevedo, I want to do the right thing. So Acevedo goes to see Jorge with regards to running for council. He wants his back and he needs the financial backing from another Mexican in the community. So he'll get the votes. And there's no one better, as they say, than a captain of a police department who's ousting corrupt cops, which is why he gave that file to the press. And he agrees to back him. And things seem to be going pretty well for Acevedo, but they're about to turn worse and about to crumble. So Julian can't afford to take the chance that Vic will give that file in, that report in, so everyone will know what happened to him. He can't afford to take that chance. So he does something he doesn't want to do. He goes to see Acevedo. After Acevedo's given the backing from Jorge, he goes to see him and he tells him that he was mistaken, that it was ammunition. And Vic's seen him beforehand and said to him, people make mistakes, it was ammunition in there, it wasn't cocaine. And Julian's fought against that, but he's got no choice now. He has to go against what he wants to do to risk his own reputation. So he goes to see Acevedo and tells him, I got it all wrong. And Acevedo even threatens to fire him, to put him on, basically suspend him from the police force. So he's still a probationer. And this could cost Acevedo his place on the city council. And Acevedo flips his head and smashes one of the windows in his office. Things are starting to crumble for him. But again, things are starting to go really well for Vic, because Vic's playing everyone the way he wants them to. So meanwhile, a lady called Kim comes into the barn and asks for this officer who's retired, and Dutch takes it on, basically. So this lady's quite an attractive lady, a middle-aged lady, pretty attractive, and he decides to help her. Her husband was killed and it's still unsolved, and Dutch loves these kind of crimes, so he takes it on. Shane looks at it as an angle that she's got no husband, she's grieving possibly, and due to that he could be weak, could be vulnerable, and he may be able to get a shag. And that's all Shane sees. He doesn't see a victim there, as in the popular sense of the word. He sees someone who he could get into their knickers, and that's his only motivation for wanting to assist Dutch. Dutch is disgusted by this, but you can see that little seed in the back of his mind thinking, possibly I could get some here, because he doesn't get anything anywhere else. So Dutch takes it on, and it's so funny. Shane's really softly spoken, really supportive, very much not Shane, and Dutch hates it. I think Dutch hates his attitude, because he would like to be like this, because he's possibly worried that Shane might get some even before Dutch does. So whilst interviewing Artie, who's a family friend and a business partner of this Kim's husband, that he just flips again. He just says, Shane puts pressure on him. Shane grabs him by the throat and says, you did this, you're guilty, you committed the crime. He says, yeah, fine, I did. He says, why has it taken so long for you to catch me? I would have admitted this ages ago, but you were so crap, you didn't even ask me if I did it. If you would have asked me at the time, I would have admitted it. And Dutch is so surprised, and Shane's really shocked that he's actually solved a crime, probably on his own, just by grabbing the geezer by the throat. And it's quite an unusual moment. And when they go and tell Kim, again, Shane's very softly spoken, and he's like, oh, this must be very hard for you, and he's very comforting. His only motive is to get in her knickers. And he says that a lot of the time police officers after these kind of cases say they forgot to take a statement, forgot to get a signature, and go and see the lady at home. And Dutch does just that. In the evening there's a knock on Kim's door, and it's Dutch. And Dutch does the old statement routine, and she invites him in, and they cook dinner and they kiss and they shower, and Dutch finally, hallelujah, Dutch gets his end away. He finally has sex. And it's a good moment. It's a hallelujah moment. So more dead bodies keep rolling in, because due to people have taken this Cupid crystal meth. And at the hospital, once they're in the morgue, another person has died. And Vic goes to meet his friend who's at the hospital and asks him what's happened. And this guy just smarts to Vic. He tries to be a smart ass. That's one thing you just don't do. You don't put Vic down. You don't shout at him. You don't embarrass him. So Vic does what he does best. Breaks all the rules. Gets this poor young boy, drags him through the morgue, and rubs his face into his dead friend's face. And funnily enough, that makes him cough as to who else is involved. It's his friend Derek who's involved. And all three of them started making the crystal meth, and they were selling it to a guy called Manny. And it turns out that they were selling it, and Manny knows what he's doing. Manny's a proper criminal, and these three were just in an enterprise to try and make money. And it was due to when they were making that money and the batch turned bad that Eric caught fire, the guy who was in the back, and they were trying to get rid of his body. And they're in debt to Manny, and they have to make these drugs. Otherwise, they're going to be killed by Manny, who, remember, is a proper gangster. These people are just normal people, people next door who decided to try and make a quick buck from making crystal meth. So when Vic and Wims goes to arrest Manny and they interview him, basically they say to Wims, Manny says that if you arrest me, I'll let 10 kilograms of this bad crystal meth onto the streets, and you'll have more dead bodies. They'll be raining down. Everyone will take this. So he's gotten by the balls, really, for want of a better word, and he has no other choice but to let him go. And they get the drugs off the street, but Manny walks free. And there's a really good scene where again you don't cross Vic, it will come back to bite you. Where Manny says that I got you can't touch me, I'm untouchable, I'm walking away, and you know I'm a drug dealer. And Vic says that isn't a good thing to be on my radar. Trust me, it's not a good thing. I won't forget your face, and your time will come pretty soon. And I'm sure in the next few episodes, Manny's time will come pretty soon, and it may end up he'll be in the morgue as well. But it was a really good way of wrapping it up, and it was a nice simple job as well. It flowed really, really well, and it ends with Aceveda having to tell Jorge that his case has fallen apart, that the officer isn't going to prosecute, he's not going to go to IA, and that he wants backing, but he's got no cards to play now. And in a way, you learn that Jorge is a businessman, but he's also corrupt himself. And this makes David, his little pet, is in his back pocket. David owes him now, and he will call that favour in a few episodes down the line. But David's running for city council. Vic's got away with it. Shane's got away with it. And the fact Vic tells Julian he did the right thing. And Julian even says to Vic, I've got this sickness in me. And Vic says to him, and it's very ironic and it's very much double standards, that you can't hide who you are. You are the person who you are. And stop pretending you're someone else. But Vic's corrupt. Vic's a drug dealer. Vic's an arms dealer. The only thing you won't go near is prostitution. But he's trying to tell Julian to be the right person, to be a good person, when when Julian's corrupt, and Vic blackmailed him. He was happy to blackmail him for his own survival. So that was episode 8 of The Shield, Cupid and Psychos. A really good little episode. There was, again, no touch on the Armenians. Vic's under pressure. He's got to pay for Matthew's nursery. He's coming to terms with his autism and how to deal with that. And Aceveda is trying to push for city council. The angle he's looking at, the door keeps closing of trying to put Vic behind bars. But he's going to keep pushing away, and he's got his own agenda. Everyone in this has got their own agenda. And it comes to a crossroads at a certain point where someone has to lose. And people do lose to Vic. Honestly, he's got no loyalty. Remember that as we go through it. But it's another really good episode. But yeah, that was episode 8. Also, I'm reviewing Cobra Kai, which you can subscribe to as well. Just like and subscribe, and it's on another channel. I've just finished doing episode 6 of Cobra Kai, which is called Quiver. So at the end of this, there will be a box will flash up. There'll be a link where you can click and catch up with Cobra Kai as well. Another amazing episode. Got all the nostalgia for 1984. Really, really good. So subscribe, like. Remember, I'm on Twitter as well. And I'm on Android, and I'm on Apple, the Film Reelcast, our audio podcasts as well. Or if you don't want to watch this, you can just listen to it. So it's just like a podcast, but a video. So you can listen to this. But it's been really good. Again, talking about The Shield, a series that I'm really passionate, that I love. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Stuart, and this is the Film Reelcast.